Hey, it's Kyle here, and today I'll be reviewing Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. This is the latest Hunger Games novel. I was a huge fan when the original Hunger Games trilogy came out. Absolutely love those books. Some of my favorite dystopian novels of all time, which has always been a favorite genre of mine. So I have a weird connection to the series. It always makes me want to follow new additions to the series closely. And that's because when the movies started coming out, I was a huge fan of the movies. Those movies were filmed in the area I live, Georgia. And for the movie Mockingjay, specifically part 1, I was an extra in the movie. I was a citizen of District 13, and I was on set for a day or two, got to see how a big movie was filmed, got to stand maybe 1 or 2 feet away from Jennifer Lawrence for a couple hours, which is absolutely amazing. But I think because I've always had kind of a feeling like, the Hunger Games, I just have a little bit more connection to it than typical books because I actually got to be on a film set was being filmed and stuff like that. So I love the series in general, but being a part of the movie in a small way made me even love it even more. So the original 3 books actually I loved. So I was very excited a few years ago when a new book came out, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, and read it, and I thought it was just okay. I think part of my issue was President Snow, as a youngster, is a really main character. In some ways, you're supposed to be kind of rooting for him, part of it. And he is such a despicable character when we get to know him in the Hunger Games books. You know this is how he's going to turn out. And I just couldn't really get in the book because I don't really want to have so much of the storyline told from his point of view when he's still kind of a semi-good person. I'm not really interested in his villain origin. Maybe if, some other characters were set up and he was just in the background, I would have enjoyed it more. But I was just so-so. They announced they were doing another book, another prequel. I was like, all right, this might be the last Hunger Games book that I automatically read. And if I get it and I don't really love it in the future with future Hunger Games books, because I'm sure there'll be more, I'll probably only read them if it gets outstanding reviews. Then I will no longer automatically read it. But if I loved it, I still might be an automatic buy person for the Hunger Games. So for the new book, The Sunrise on the Reaping, I will say I enjoyed it a lot more than The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Did I enjoy it as much as the original trilogy of Hunger Games books? No, it's somewhere in the middle. I thought really, really good, not great, but not bad either. So I'm actually kind of on the fence, when the next one comes out, what am I going to do? So I think I might be more read the back cover, does it sound like an interesting concept? Then get it. I don't know if I'm an auto buy, but I'm also not sure if I'm I need to wait to hear a lot of reviews for it either. The basic setup, I think one reason why I enjoyed it more, this was a kind of a prequel I was more interested in reading. Haymitch is the main character. Obviously, we know him as the mentor for Katniss and Peeta in the original books. And this is basically his story of his Hunger Games. What he was like before he went into Hunger Games, what his Hunger Games was like, how he won, and how it impacted him. And when we meet him in the original books, he is such a broken individual. He's constantly drunk. It's clearly, from what we hear from Katniss, nobody in her district interacts with him. He's just kind of seen as this depressed loser. Nobody really likes him. She doesn't really want to deal with him as the mentor, and eventually over the course of the books and the movies, obviously that relationship changes, and he becomes a huge part of how that storyline unfolds and how Katniss becomes involved in the revolution and all that type of stuff. So I was always very interested to learn more, what was Haymitch's Hunger Games like? How did he win? And how did that relate to what he became when we meet him in the original books? And I think from that standpoint, this book is a huge success. It does a great job of showing what he was like, what his personality was like, but how the Hunger Games broke him and what happened after the Hunger Games, how it broke him and resulted in the character we meet when the original books came out. It also does a kind of interesting job of connecting him to all these other characters who do come along in the Hunger Games. Because when the books happen and when eventually Haymitch becomes almost like a part of the revolution, clearly he kind of helped set up some things to kind of bring Katniss in. It's how was he involved in this loop? Did this all happen as Katniss was in the games, or there's stuff leading up to it? And so this book does an interesting job of setting up Haymitch meeting these various other individuals who get involved in the revolution and showing how he develops a relationship with them and how he develops a trust in them that when Katniss comes along, he's able to go and be like, hey, this is the person we've been looking for. I wasn't the right person to kind of trigger the revolution, but Katniss is, and let's start this plot. So in some ways I like that, but in other ways, like one of my complaints about this book, it seemed like every time he meets a pivotal character, is somehow connected to a character that we know in the Hunger Games. Either it's the actual character, or like, oh, this is the dad of the character we meet, or the mom of the character, or a cousin, or something like that. And at a certain point, I'm like, hey, it'd be nice if we just met some characters and they didn't have to automatically be related to characters we meet in the Hunger Games books. Like, how small of a world is this? Like, is there only 1,000 people? So everybody that is in this book set several decades before the events of the Hunger Games is also going to pop up in the Hunger Games book. So it'd been nice if there'd been a few more characters that were initially not related to people we meet later in the Hunger Games. So maybe if that had been toned down a little bit, like it just came across every time you met a new character, it's like, all right, you know, and they said the names like, oh, okay, this is how we know this person. You just kind of began to expect every time a new character was introduced, like, all right, how is this person going to relate to the people we meet in the Hunger Games books? And then I'll also say this book ends very quickly after Haymitch goes on his victory tour, after he's won the Hunger Games. I actually would have liked a little bit more, maybe a few inserts of what he was like as a mentor, the various people he had to mentor all along the way to get to Katniss, and how that beat him down, because obviously he went through countless Hunger Games where the people who were mentoring were just dying the games. So I think it'd been interesting maybe if you had a chapter or two of him meeting people, maybe him developing a small flicker of hope, like maybe this is the person, and then he sees this person gets killed in the Hunger Games. But overall, Haymitch is a very interesting character in the original books, in the movies, and he's a very interesting character in this as well. I think he really, the author Suzanne Collins does a really job of making this character feel like it relates to the character we get to know later in the books and the movies. So, like I said, I enjoy this book a lot more than the first prequel we got in the Songbirds book, but did not enjoy it as much as the original Hunger Games books. So I'd say if you're a fan of the Hunger Games books and you've been on the fence reading this, I'd say if you like Haymitch, you can definitely check this book series out. If Haymitch was never a character that interested you, I don't think you're going to like this book, because this book is so Haymitch focused. So anyway, that's my thoughts on Sunrise of the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. Let me know in the comment section below, who is your favorite character in the Hunger Games, and let me know why. If you enjoyed this review, please hit the like button. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate support. Thanks for watching. I'll see you the next time, and happy reading.